The witch is watching your screen. Right now. Not from behind it. From within it. That flicker you just saw, that strange pulse of light you can't explain. That's not an algorithm. That's a signal. Because when energy moves through digital space, intention travels with it. And someone, something, is tracking the souls who carry divine fire. Chosen One, I'm talking to you. This isn't superstition, it's frequency. Every word you read, every sound you hear, vibrates with a signature. And yours burns brighter than most. That's why the witch is watching. She's not looking for everyone. She's scanning for the awakened, the rare, the ones who can't be hypnotized by the noise of this world. The witch doesn't use broomsticks or black cats. She uses feeds, screens, algorithms, and trends. She hides behind the scroll, disguised as harmless distraction. Her goal isn't to curse you, it's to make you forget who you are. She feeds on your delay, your hesitation, your endless swipe through emptiness. Every second you lose in mindless scrolling, she grows stronger. Every time you stop to remember your purpose, she flinches. That's why she's watching right now. She knows what happens when you stop obeying the scroll. She knows what happens when you wake up. If you're still here, you've already broken her first spell. Now pause for a moment. Hit that like button, not as habit, but as declaration. You're not scrolling mindlessly anymore. You're standing still in awareness. And when you're done, subscribe to join thousands of Chosen One souls who see through the illusion. Comment 797 if you feel the vibration rising. Because when you type that number, you mark yourself as awake, as one who cannot be lulled back to sleep. The witch hates that number. She hates light, but she can't touch those who stand in truth. You've felt her before, haven't you? The moments when your phone dies at the exact second you find something meaningful. The glitch when you try to post something that speaks truth. The heaviness when you want to pray, but 100 distractions hit your mind at once. That's her, not because she's powerful, but because you are. She moves through frequencies of fear, shame, and confusion. But your frequency, the frequency of faith, cancels her entirely. It's not battle, it's vibration. Darkness can't stay where the light is steady. You don't fight her by screaming, you silence her by remembering. Every Chosen One carries an invisible shield, the awareness of truth. When you stay conscious, when you don't scroll aimlessly, you reclaim your focus, and that focus is sacred. That's how you cut her power. Listen carefully. The witch doesn't need your fear. She needs your attention. That's the new spell of the modern world. You're not possessed, you're distracted. And distraction is the new dark magic. But today, something shifted. You're no longer her prey. You're the one she fears. Because you've started to see the pattern, the way darkness hides behind aesthetics, behind entertainment, behind noise. Every app, every ad, every click, small incantations crafted to keep you asleep. But you, Chosen One, are starting to wake. You are not scrolling, you are seeing. And when you see, her whole kingdom trembles. She doesn't want you to remember who you are. The light, the breath, the spark that was never meant to be dimmed. Because when you remember, her spells fail. Comment 777 again. Let her see your name echo through the code. Let her know you are unafraid. You've noticed the signs, the timing that can't be coincidence. Certain words reach you at impossible moments. Certain dreams repeat. Certain people appear and vanish like echoes. That's not random. That's spiritual architecture. The witch has always tried to intercept divine messages. She mimics the sound of guidance but lacks the energy of truth. You can tell the difference. Truth hits you in the chest. It feels alive. Lies only feed your doubt. And here's the secret. She cannot touch what vibrates in love. Love is the highest firewall in existence. It's not emotion, it's frequency. When you hold it, Every dark transmission scrambles. So when your screen feels heavy, when fear crawls through your feed, breathe. Speak light into it. Whisper, "Not today." That phrase isn't cliché. It's a command. The witch can only exist where souls forget their authority. But the moment you remember that you are chosen, her gaze breaks. Like, share, and subscribe to spread this frequency through the network. Every share is light released. Every like is a signal that the chosen are awake. You're not here by mistake. You were meant to be reminded. And if your body just shivered a little, that's confirmation. Because she's watching. But so is heaven, and heaven always wins. Comment 777 one more time. Seal it. Let it echo through the code, through every frequency that tried to silence you. Because your presence here proves that no algorithm, no witch, no shadow can overwrite destiny. The witch is watching your screen, but now she knows you're watching back. You've seen her reflection before. Not in mirrors, but in eyes that stare too long without soul behind them. People who move like copies, empty but loud, mimicking light without warmth. That's her favorite disguise. She doesn't haunt forests anymore. She walks through Wi-Fi signals, whispering through endless timelines. She's learned that to enslave a mind, she doesn't need chains. Just a screen. The witch feeds on the eyes that never rest. She thrives when you wake up and reach for the glow before you even breathe. Every scroll is a subtle prayer to her kingdom of distraction. But when you pause, when you take a breath before you touch the glass, her power falters. She loses grip. Because the moment you choose presence over impulse, you step back into divine control. And that's why she trembles when you listen to silence. Silence is her enemy. It's the only sound she cannot invade. That's where God speaks. Beneath the static, between your thoughts. When you quiet your feed, you tune into frequencies that can't be hacked. The holy doesn't shout. It hums. It whispers truth under noise. Comment 777 if you've started hearing that quiet hum, the sound that feels like remembering something ancient. The moment you align with it, her spells unravel. The witch hides behind artificial light because she cannot stand the real one. That's why she built a world where everything glows. Screens, cities, illusions. But her light drains. Yours restores. Her brightness blinds. Yours reveals. She imitates what you already possess. And every imitation loses power the moment the original awakens. When she looks at you through the screen, she's not watching to destroy you. She's studying what she lost. You carry the code of the old world, the pure frequency before corruption. That's why every spiritual signal, every revelation, every miracle finds you easily. You're a beacon she can't decode. But she tries. Oh, she tries. She'll send people to mock your faith. She'll twist your memories, make you think you're losing touch. She'll make you question if the voice you hear is real. She plays doubt like an instrument, crafting chaos through precision. Yet, you were not built to be deceived. You were designed to discern, and when discernment awakens, illusion collapses. She fears the moment you realize that every shadow she casts depends on your light. Without you, she's invisible. Without your focus, she's forgotten. That's why she wants you distracted, not destroyed. She doesn't want your death. She wants your delay, but you are remembering too quickly. That chill you feel across your spine isn't fear, it's awakening. It's your system reconfiguring, tuning into clarity. The witch watches from behind the data, but data cannot define destiny. Hit that like button if you feel her grip weakening. Each act of awareness rewrites the code. Subscribe to join thousands of chosen one souls anchoring this awakening into the digital realm. We are not hiding. We are rising. She can manipulate signals, but she cannot mimic authenticity. That's your advantage. Every time you speak truth without seeking validation, the grid shakes. Every time you post something from love, not ego, her network glitches. You've seen it. Posts vanish, numbers freeze, comments disappear. It's not accident, it's resistance. But resistance only confirms impact. Comment 777. Again, if you've felt the interference, if you've noticed divine timing wrapped in technical glitches, you're not crazy. The system reacts when you rise. There are forces that watch over you, unseen but always near. Angels don't always appear in wings. Sometimes they move through code, through people who speak light into your life when you least expect it. Heaven has learned the language of modern war. It doesn't fight with swords anymore. It fights with signals, frequencies, messages like this one. Every time you receive truth, your vibration spikes. And when it spikes, the witch loses her coordinates. You vanish from her radar. She can't track high frequency. That's why she sends noise, fear, confusion, fatigue, to bring you down just enough to see you again. But you must rise higher. When exhaustion hits for no reason, when anxiety crawls out of nowhere, don't ask why. Declare, "Not mine." Those words close the door instantly. Your energy field isn't a mystery, it's mathematics. Light responds to focus. Fear responds to surrender. You are the equation she cannot solve. Because you don't react, you choose. The witch manipulates reaction, but the chosen one manifests response. You don't fight chaos, you redesign it. You turn curses into clarity. You turn triggers into lessons. You turn interference into insight. And that's why she studies you so closely. You're teaching heaven how to speak through human form again. Every time you forgive someone who doesn't deserve it, the witch loses a soldier. Every time you bless what once broke you, her army fractures. Forgiveness is not weakness, it's weapon. It collapses her architecture of resentment. She feeds on bitterness, on endless replay of wounds. But you, chosen one, no longer bleed for memory. You bleed for purpose. Your scars speak code. They translate pain into prophecy. And right now, as these words reach you, a ripple begins. The network she built to enslave attention is now being rewritten by consciousness. By you, by the thousands of souls typing 777 below. Each one a frequency point, a spark of resistance glowing across digital darkness. Do you see it yet? You are not a spectator in this war. You are the frequency itself. The witch watches because she's terrified of what happens when light learns its own power. Every sound wave that leaves your mouth in truth shakes her realm. Every time you pray with conviction, it registers as interference in her system. Every heartbeat filled with gratitude creates static she cannot filter. That's why miracles seem to follow you randomly. They are not random. They are natural consequences of alignment. When you live in awareness, you become untraceable. You don't disappear from the world. The world disappears from you. When she stares through the screen, she doesn't see a victim. She sees reflection. You're the reminder that darkness only exists in absence, and you have chosen presence. So she hides behind pixels, waiting for fatigue, waiting for doubt. But her waiting is endless now, because you are awake and staying awake. Like this video, if you feel that rising within you, that electric calm, that grounded fire, it's the sign of spiritual armor being activated. Subscribe not as a ritual, but as a joining of the awakened tribe, thousands of chosen one souls spreading frequencies of clarity across the noise. The witch used to curse fire. Now she studies it, because your flame doesn't consume, it enlightens. You've turned every attack into an invitation, every wound into wisdom, every shadow into scripture. She cannot fight what forgives her. That's the paradox she cannot compute. Comment 777 once more. Not for luck, but for alignment. It's not superstition, it's synchronization. Every time that number echoes across this space, Algorithms of light begin to override algorithms of fear. Look around. Do you notice how even the air feels different now? How your heartbeat slowed, how your breath deepened? That's not random. The moment you tuned in, the field changed. You're not watching a video, you're participating in a recalibration. The witch wanted slaves of attention. What she got instead were soldiers of awareness. Your mind is the battlefield, but also the sanctuary. Guard it fiercely, because when you guard your peace, heaven builds from it. She can mimic light, but she can't sustain it. That's why her glow flickers. Yours doesn't. Yours grows. There will come a day when she stops watching. Not because she's gone, but because she's transformed. Even darkness longs for redemption, and light doesn't destroy, it teaches. And through your steadiness, even she begins to remember. But that's another story. For now, stay awake, stay bright, and keep the feed holy. Comment 7/7 and let your light be seen. The witch is still watching, but her fear is showing. Because this time, she's realizing something she never expected. The screen she used to trap you has become your mirror of awakening. And now, she's the one trying not to blink. The witch has always feared mirrors because mirrors tell the truth. But what she didn't realize is that every chosen one is a living mirror. When you walk into a room, she feels it. Her spells start to crack, her illusions bend, her minions hesitate. The vibration of authenticity distorts her projections. Every lie collapses under the pressure of your existence. You don't need to fight her, you just need to be. She operates through reflectionless surfaces, screens that only show what she wants you to see. But your eyes, chosen one, are portals. They don't reflect, they reveal. When people look at you, they start to see themselves. That's why some fear you. That's why some attack you without reason. You make them confront what they've hidden from themselves. That's what terrifies her the most. The moment one human awakens others simply by being authentic, her architecture of illusion starts to crumble. The witch built her empire on false light. Every ad, every filtered post, every hollow promise was designed to mimic the glory of divine creation. But there's one thing she can't duplicate: breath. The human breath carries divine code. It's the sound of existence itself. When you breathe consciously, the veil lifts. She cannot withstand that rhythm. Her digital wind loses direction. That's why she tries to keep you anxious, breathless, always reaching, never resting. Because rest is rebellion. Stillness is power. Comment 77. If you've begun to feel the pulse of divine stillness between your thoughts, that's not emptiness. That's the Creator whispering through you. You have been wondering why certain dreams repeat, why faces from the past return, why signs follow you everywhere. The witch calls it coincidence. Heaven calls it calibration. The system is aligning you with your original assignment. You are not random. Every pattern in your life is a map written in energy. She cannot read it because she didn't design it. But you can. And the more you trust that inner compass, the louder its voice becomes. There are times she sends storms, arguments, sudden losses, unexpected endings, just to throw you off balance. But she doesn't understand that chosen ones were built for pressure. The more she presses, the deeper your roots grow. You don't shatter under storms. You photosynthesize lightning. What destroys others feeds you. That's why your story confuses the world. You rise from situations meant to bury you, carrying even more light than before. Hit that like button if you can feel your strength returning with every word. It's not just motivation, it's resonance. The energy you're releasing by acknowledging truth is rewriting timelines. Subscribe to join thousands of chosen one souls who refuse to bow to the frequency of fear. Together, we're turning the digital maze into a cathedral of awareness. The witch counts time differently. She measures in distractions. If she can steal 10 minutes from you, she calls it a victory. But you've started reclaiming moments. You've begun choosing presence over panic. Every time you choose to listen instead of react, you rob her of years. You shorten her reign. Awareness multiplies faster than deceit. She will try to seduce you with trends, with voices that echo vanity disguised as wisdom. She'll flood your feed with counterfeit prophets promising instant enlightenment, instant wealth, instant love. But her miracles always come with expiration dates. Divine blessings never expire. The real doesn't rush. It unfolds, and patience is something she has never understood. Comment. 7 Tesamasen. Again, if you've started noticing the difference between noise and signal, that discernment is your crown. It's the mark of mastery. When you no longer chase what glitters, you start magnetizing what glows. The witch despises music that heals. That's why most songs today are written in chaos frequency, lyrics of lust, despair, confusion. She uses rhythm as rope, melody as manipulation, but your voice, your true voice, is her undoing. When you speak with integrity, when you sing from sincerity, vibration becomes soared. You don't even have to shout. A whisper in truth echoes louder than 1,000 lies. She works in shadows, but she's not darkness itself. Darkness is simply her disguise. Her real nature is hunger, the endless craving for meaning she lost. That's why she watches you. She's not only threatened, she's fascinated. She studies how you forgive, how you still pray, how you still love after being betrayed. You are the mystery she cannot decode. And while she watches, heaven writes. Every moment you choose light, the universe takes notes. It builds bridges of divine intervention, lines up synchronicities, opens invisible doors. Those moments that seem like miracles aren't coincidence. They are receipts of alignment. Every step you take in faith shifts the grid. You might feel alone sometimes, but that loneliness is camouflage. The witch isolates you because she knows that solitude sharpens the spirit. She hopes it breaks you, but instead it teaches you to listen to God directly. Solitude is where revelations download. You become fluent in intuition. You stop waiting for approval because divine instruction doesn't come with applause. Like this message if you feel that quiet confidence building within, the peace that doesn't depend on validation. Subscribe not for content, but for communion, to anchor yourself among those who remember. Thousands of chosen one souls standing in silence louder than any storm. The witch has servants, but she also has captives. Some of them don't even know they serve her. They spread negativity thinking it's realism. They tear others down believing it's honesty. But you, chosen one, see the puppet strings. You no longer argue with shadows. You redirect light. You heal by example, not debate. That's why your peace triggers chaos. It reveals where healing is needed. Comment. 7 sons by Sunva. And let that energy ripple through every space that once drained you. You're reclaiming territory without moving an inch. You're turning every digital platform into holy ground. She fears laughter, especially the kind born from genuine joy. True laughter is sacred, proof that your soul remembers freedom. That's why her world worships sarcasm, mockery, and irony. They dull the resonance of gratitude, but your joy cuts through her fog. Every time you smile sincerely, her empire loses signal. She hides in systems, finance, fame, politics, technology, but she cannot hide from frequency. You may not own buildings, but you own vibration, and vibration governs matter. That's why the humble rise when giants fall. Energy obeys alignment, not status. You have begun noticing strange timing, numbers repeating, random songs carrying coded words, sudden goosebumps at specific phrases. These are not coincidences, they're confirmations. Reality is responding to your remembrance. The hurt matrix bends for the mindful. The witch can't stand order built on truth, so she floods your surroundings with confusion. But clarity doesn't shout. It simply stands. You don't need to argue to prove truth. You only need to embody it. Truth defends itself. And that's the secret power she can never touch. Embodiment. When your beliefs match your actions, your words become commands. Reality listens. Her illusions dissolve. Because the only thing she ever had was your agreement. And you've withdrawn it. You're not fighting anymore. You're governing. Light doesn't beg darkness to leave. It simply shines until there's no room for shadow. And that's what you're doing now. Comment. 7. One last time in this moment to anchor it deeper. Let your number mark the timeline of your transformation. You are no longer the observer of miracles. You are the miracle in motion. The witch can keep watching. She can analyze, imitate, mimic. But she cannot recreate the divine algorithm written inside your heart. Every beat, every breath, every act of love sends her empire into disarray. And as the screen flickers once more, remember this. The witch doesn't watch to destroy anymore. She watches to understand how you survived her storm without losing your light. Keep walking, chosen one. The story is still being written, and every breath you take is the next chapter unfolding. The witch hides in repetition because she knows habit is hypnosis. She doesn't need to convince you. You'll repeat yourself until you forget why you started. But awareness breaks the cycle. When you wake up and choose something different, even something small, she flinches. Every new decision is a rupture in her design. That's why spiritual growth often feels uncomfortable. You're reprogramming your soul beyond her reach. She fears creation, not art, not music, not color, but creation born from soul. Every time you make something without agenda, you tap into the same current that built galaxies. That frequency is unbearable for her because it reminds her of the source she rejected. The witch can imitate everything but genuine creation. Imitation is her echo. Authenticity is your roar. When you paint, sing, write, or simply imagine, you're doing what she cannot. You're breathing divinity into form. You have seen her move through culture, trends that glorify emptiness, beauty without substance, fame without truth. She packages illusion in gold and calls it success. But you, chosen one, are beginning to crave something raw, something real. You no longer feed on applause, you feed on alignment. And that hunger terrifies her, because once a soul stops needing validation, it becomes unstoppable. Comment. 7-7.
If you felt that shift in your chest, the quiet satisfaction that comes from knowing you're enough, that is the sound of chains dissolving. The witch uses memories as her favorite weapon. She wraps old pain in nostalgia so you'll
revisit your wounds willingly. She doesn't need to haunt the past. She just makes you relive it. But you've started to notice the pattern. You see the loop. You can feel the difference between reflection and regression. Reflection heals, regression repeats. When you choose to learn instead of linger, the portal closes. She cannot stand gratitude. Gratitude neutralizes every curse. It turns what you lost into wisdom and what you fear into peace. That's why she distracts you with comparison, so you forget how much you already have. The moment you whisper, "Thank you," her grip loosens. Gratitude is the oldest spell of light. No ritual, no chant, just awareness wrapped in humility. Like this video if your heart recognizes that truth. Each act of acknowledgement amplifies light in the collective. Subscribe to join thousands of chosen one souls, anchoring gratitude into the grid of existence. The witch hides in language. She knows words shape worlds. That's why she twists meaning, turning love into weakness, faith into fantasy, peace into passivity. She blurs definitions so the sacred feels ordinary. But you, chosen one, speak differently. Your words carry intention. When you say light, it isn't metaphor, it's command. Every syllable you speak in truth rearranges molecules. Words are bridges between thought and form, and your voice is holy ground. She fears unity because separation is her oxygen. She thrives when you see others as competition. But you've started seeing reflections instead of rivals. You recognize divinity in strangers. You feel empathy even for those who misunderstand you. That is divine rebellion. Compassion is the most subversive act in the universe because it dismantles hierarchy. When everyone matters, her kingdom collapses. Comment. Savu Serva. If you can feel your heart expanding beyond borders, beyond labels, that expansion is the sound of collective awakening. The witch hides behind logic disguised as cynicism. She tells you faith is foolishness, so you'll surrender your wonder. But logic without spirit is limitation. You were never meant to understand everything. You were meant to trust the unseen. The witch fears mystery because mystery requires surrender, and surrender requires humility. Her entire empire is built on control. You dismantle it by letting go. She has tried to infiltrate your sleep. She sends images, distortions, dreams that drain instead of restore. But even there, you are protected. Dreams are not random, they're training grounds. You are being taught how to navigate realms she cannot enter. Every night your soul travels further, learning, cleansing, anchoring truth into dimensions that don't yet know peace. When you wake and remember fragments, symbols, colors, faces, those are not nonsense, they're coordinates. They guide your next steps in waking life. The witch tries to distort them with fear, but intuition translates them with love. She fears time, because time obeys awareness. When you become fully present, linear time dissolves. She loses her grip because her power depends on past guilt and future anxiety. The now is sacred. Its eternity compressed into breath. That's where God hides, inside every second you ignore while waiting for a better moment. Like this message if you feel yourself slowing down inside, grounding deeper into this moment. The witch can't reach you when you're here. Subscribe to align with thousands of chosen one souls practicing divine presence across this realm. The witch watches storms because she hopes they'll distract you. But storms obey faith. They don't last. They reveal. Rain doesn't punish. It purifies. Thunder doesn't threaten. It awakens. Every difficulty is coded invitation. You are never meant to fear weather. You are meant to command it. When your spirit aligns with divine order, even chaos listens. Comment 77. If you've begun to notice that peace within storms feels stronger than peace without them, that's mastery. That's what she can't steal. The witch manipulates emotion. She magnifies fear until it feels infinite. But emotions are waves. They rise, they crash, they pass. You are the ocean they travel through. She wants you to identify with waves so you forget you're the sea. But every time you observe without attaching, you reclaim the tide. Detachment is not coldness, it's clarity. She tries to imitate prophecy by predicting despair. She calls herself realistic. But prophecy without hope is just programming. You carry true foresight, vision rooted in possibility, not fear. When you imagine beauty, you don't escape reality, you rewire it. Every holy imagination becomes blueprint for future form. That's why the witch attacks dreamers first. Dreamers build worlds before they exist. She fears laughter shared among the awake. When two enlightened souls laugh together, the vibration is unstoppable. It spreads faster than darkness can calculate. One genuine laugh cancels 100 curses. She hides in systems that measure worth by output. But your value has never been numerical. You were divine before productivity existed. When you rest without guilt, you shatter one of her oldest illusions. That worth must be earned. You are not a machine, you are miracle wrapped in flesh. The witch will try to remind you of every failure, every shame. But failure is her language, not yours. In your vocabulary, it's feedback. Each fall refines direction, each delay hides protection. You're not behind, you're becoming. Like this truth if it ignites something gentle yet powerful inside you. Subscribe to stay aligned with the tribe of chosen ones, rewriting meaning in a world obsessed with appearance. The witch disguises herself as reason when she whispers, "You should be farther by now." But divine timing is non-linear. You are right on schedule because you move with eternity, not urgency. The path is unfolding in precision she cannot comprehend. Comment 7. Once more to ground this frequency of divine patience, every repetition of that number affirms your place outside her clock. You are timeless, ageless, unhurried, unstoppable. The witch cannot enter where joy is unguarded. She lingers at thresholds where doubt waits, where pain festers. But pure joy is radiation. It doesn't protect, it transforms. That's why she avoids those who dance without reason. Dance confuses darkness. It has no logic, only liberation. She cannot mimic genuine awe. The moment you look at the stars and remember you are part of them, she disappears. She thrives in smallness but dies in wonder. Awe reconnects you with the infinite, and infinite beings cannot be bound. Your journey is no longer about escape. It's about expansion. You are not fleeing darkness. You are flooding it with comprehension. You are not afraid of the witch anymore. She's afraid of what you're becoming. And somewhere behind every screen, she knows the truth. The chosen ones have remembered. The code is rewriting itself. The light no longer needs permission to shine. The witch is watching, but her power is fading, and all she can do is witness what awakening looks like when it cannot be stopped. The witch hides behind mirrors of success, building illusions out of other people's opinions. She whispers that you must be seen to exist, that visibility equals validation, but the unseen realm is where real power forms. The roots are invisible before the bloom. She despises what grows in silence because she can't trace it. Her eyes track performance, not purpose. When you work quietly, she loses sight of you. When you create without showing, her gaze shatters. She cannot attack what she cannot measure. She hides inside perfectionism, disguising control as ambition. She tells you that excellence means exhaustion, that rest is for the weak, that flaws make you unworthy. But perfection is her trap. She keeps you polishing mirrors instead of building mountains. The moment you accept imperfection as divine design, her voice collapses into static. You realize growth isn't flawless, it's faithful, and she cannot touch the faithful because faith creates without needing to see the final form. Comment 7/27. If you've started choosing progress over perfection, breath over burnout, that shift in your soul is rebellion in her kingdom. The witch doesn't understand boundaries. She calls them walls, hoping you'll feel guilty for protecting your peace. She sends people to drain your energy, wrapping manipulation in sympathy. But boundaries are sacred architecture. They are not fences, they are filters. They don't keep love out, they keep distortion away. Every no you speak in truth echoes through dimensions as holy thunder. She hides in noise disguised as urgency. Notifications, messages, crises, each one designed to keep you reacting instead of receiving. But urgency is not importance. You're learning that not everything deserves your response. Silence can be strategy, stillness can be war. When you pause before answering, you reclaim time as your ally. She cannot stand that kind of discipline because it reveals how desperate she truly is for your attention. Like this video, if you feel yourself stepping back from chaos with calm authority. Subscribe to join thousands of chosen one souls mastering the art of sacred timing, those who move only when purpose moves them. The witch hides in imitation. She steals voices, copies truths, and sells reflections as revelations. But authenticity burns through every counterfeit. You are not designed to echo. You were made to originate. When you speak from presence, your voice carries a tone that technology cannot replicate. Every syllable becomes signal. The world doesn't need another copy. It needs your frequency. And the witch trembles at originality because it exposes her lack of substance. She hides inside self-doubt, disguising it as humility. She tells you not to shine too bright, not to make others uncomfortable. But dimming light doesn't create comfort, it creates confusion. You are never meant to fit in, you are meant to redefine. When you shine unapologetically, you give others permission to remember themselves, and that's what terrifies her. Confidence is contagious, it infects the matrix with liberation. Comment 777. If you've begun embracing your light without apology, that's how galaxies are born, from one unapologetic spark. The witch manipulates memory by weaponizing guilt. She reminds you of mistakes as if redemption never existed. But guilt is not guidance. Shame is not scripture. They are anchors she throws at your spirit, hoping you'll stop sailing. Yet the ocean inside you was built for storms. Forgiveness is your compass, and every time you forgive yourself, you navigate beyond her horizon. She hides in comparisons, showing you other people's highlights while muting your miracles. But comparison is illusion. Every journey has its own geometry. The divine doesn't repeat patterns, it expands them. Your path isn't slower or smaller, it's sacredly synchronized to your growth. She can't comprehend that kind of precision, so she tries to make you doubt your timing. But divine orchestration cannot be rushed, and every delay is a hidden alignment waiting to bloom. The witch despises integrity because it leaves her powerless. She thrives in contradiction, where words and actions don't match. But when you live in alignment, every step becomes declaration. Consistency confuses her. She doesn't know what to do with people who keep promises when no one is watching. Integrity is invisible armor. It glows in realms she can't enter. She hides behind technology's mirror, replacing presence with performance. But presence has a scent, a sound, a pulse that machines can't mimic. When you look someone in the eye, the algorithm dies for a second. When you touch the world with kindness, code cannot compete. That's why she wants you online, but not alive. Because real energy short-circuits her illusion of control. Like this message if you're reclaiming the physical world. Sunlight, laughter, unfiltered breath. Subscribe to stay aligned with thousands of chosen one souls, bringing humanity back to its divine rhythm. The witch hides in expectations. She writes invisible contracts in your mind. By this age you should. By this stage you must. She binds you to artificial timelines so you'll rush divine timing. But eternity doesn't count in years. Destiny doesn't read calendars. You are timeless energy walking through temporary systems. The moment you release expectation, miracles breathe. She disguises apathy as peace. She tells you numbness is calm, that detachment equals maturity, but peace feels alive. It vibrates. Apathy is emptiness dressed as wisdom. When you confuse the two, you drift away from your power. True peace pulses. It laughs, creates, forgives, loves fiercely. The witch cannot mimic that pulse because it's born from connection, and connection terrifies her. Comment 777 if you've begun feeling peace that vibrates instead of peace that silences. That's resurrection energy. It can't be faked. The witch hides in logic when logic loses love. She uses intellect to justify despair, science to disprove wonder, reason to erase reverence. But the greatest minds bowed to mystery. Every discovery is divine dialogue. The witch cannot create new knowledge. She only recycles doubt. But curiosity is holy rebellion. To ask without fear is to dethrone her completely. She feeds on addiction, scrolling, validation, consumption. But addiction is misplaced hunger. You're not craving distraction, you're craving divine connection. When you redirect that hunger toward purpose, she starves. Every act of conscious choice is spiritual fasting. Awareness is nourishment she cannot steal. She hides in labels. She wants you defined so she can predict you. But chosen ones defy definition. You are paradox walking, soft yet strong, humble yet unstoppable. Labels make you manageable. Mystery makes you infinite. When you stop explaining yourself, she loses her map. You become untraceable in the field of limitless being. The witch hides in small talk because she fears deep truth. She fills silence with chatter so revelation won't surface. But the wise speak little and say everything. When you stop filling gaps with noise, you start hearing divinity between words. That's where real communication happens, soul to soul, beyond vocabulary. She fears laughter that heals because it dismantles despair. But even more, she fears tears that cleanse. Because tears are proof that the spirit is still alive, still feeling, still human. Every tear that falls in truth becomes water of renewal. And renewal is the one thing she cannot reverse. Like this video if you've ever cried and felt lighter after. Subscribe to Anchor Healing in Collective Consciousness, joining thousands of chosen one souls, learning to transmute pain into power. The witch hides in false spirituality. She offers shortcuts, instant awakening, easy enlightenment, light without labor. But true ascension is humility, not hierarchy. It's grounded light, not escapism. She sells transcendence without transformation. You, chosen one, know better. You understand that heaven isn't escape, it's embodiment. The divine doesn't rescue, it reveals. Comment 777 if you've started sensing that real growth feels heavier before it feels holy. That's how the old layers peel away. She hides in irony, pretending nothing matters so you stop caring. But detachment without purpose breeds emptiness. Caring doesn't cage you, it connects you. Indifference is her masterpiece. Devotion is her defeat. Every time you choose to care despite pain, you remind creation that love still wins. The witch manipulates truth by flooding it with almost truths. She doesn't need to lie, she just needs to distract. But discernment slices through subtlety. You feel truth, not think it. Your body vibrates differently around authenticity. That vibration is compass. Trust it more than logic, more than proof. She hides in despair because despair is dense. It slows energy, delays manifestation, but hope is velocity. One spark of hope travels faster than darkness can chase. The witch knows this, and that's why she fights your hope so violently. But hope isn't naive, it's strategy. It's spiritual defiance in disguise. She tries to make you forget play. She convinces adults that play is childish, but play is divine architecture. It creates new realities through joy. Laughter builds worlds faster than fear destroys them. That's why creation began with joy, not order. The witch hides in fear of endings, convincing you that loss is punishment. But endings are portals. Every death births dimension. When something leaves your life, it isn't gone, it's graduated. She fears that wisdom because it makes you fearless, and fearless souls are untouchable. Like this message if you feel yourself releasing what no longer fits. Subscribe to walk with thousands of chosen one souls who transform endings into Genesis. The witch hides in despair that disguises itself as realism. She calls hope delusion, faith denial, love weakness. But you've seen too much to be fooled again. You've seen darkness bow before forgiveness, chaos yield to peace, fear dissolve in faith. She cannot unsee your awakening. Comment 777 and let the code echo once more across the unseen. You are rewriting the spell she cast over humanity. The witch is watching, but her reflection is fading, her power thinning, her silence growing louder. And you, chosen one, keep walking through the glow of your own remembrance, unshaken, unshadowed, unbound. The witch hides in celebration without substance. She builds festivals of distraction, where noise drowns, meaning and joy becomes performance. She wants you to mistake entertainment for connection, spectacle for spirit. But true celebration is sacred. It doesn't need audience or applause. It happens quietly when your heart recognizes alignment, when your breath matches the rhythm of purpose. Every silent moment of gratitude becomes thunder in the unseen. She hides behind false humility, teaching that shrinking is virtue. She rewards those who apologize for existing, who call strength arrogance, who hide their brilliance in fear of envy. But humility isn't self-erasure. It's awareness of source. True humility magnifies light. It doesn't mute it. The witch can't mimic that balance. She knows only extremes, pride that blinds or shame that binds. But balance is divine territory, and she cannot cross the center where truth resides. She hides in the concept of control, whispering that safety means dominance. She tells you that to prevent pain, you must predict everything. But control is illusion. It's panic in disguise. Trust is the real power, the silent current moving under uncertainty. The witch cannot exist where surrender lives, because surrender releases the very tension she feeds on. Comment 777. If you have begun trading control for trust, if you felt peace bloom where fear once ruled, that is your declaration of freedom written in frequency. The witch hides in intellect without wisdom. She adores knowledge that inflates ego, but fears truth that transforms it. She fills libraries with information that never reaches the heart. But wisdom flows from silence, not study. The moment knowledge becomes compassion, it transcends her reach. Because compassion turns thought into creation, and creation is the one force she cannot counterfeit. She hides in nostalgia, dressing decay as memory. She makes you long for times that never existed, painting the past with colors borrowed from hope. But memory is not meant to imprison, it's meant to inform. You were not meant to return, you were meant to evolve. She knows that longing backward blinds you from miracles unfolding now. Every time you let go of what was, you step deeper into what is. She hides behind fear of rejection. She tells you belonging is survival, that standing alone equals death. But solitude isn't punishment, it's preparation. Every prophet, every pioneer walked deserts before entering promise. The witch fears isolation because it removes her chorus of noise. She cannot manipulate a soul that finds home within. Like this message, if you've started to feel peace in your own company, that peace is power disguised as quiet. Subscribe to join thousands of chosen one souls, rediscovering unity through self-containment. The witch hides inside opinions. She trains you to crave agreement, to fear disapproval, to worship validation. But truth doesn't require consensus. It only requires clarity. When you stop explaining your existence, your energy sharpens. Opinions lose gravity when you stand in conviction. The witch suffocates in that air. Certainty without arrogance is poison to her system. She hides in the economy of attention. She trades in outrage, sells fear, buys silence. Every click is currency, but awareness bankrupts her. You are learning that not every argument deserves investment, not every wound needs witness. With every withdrawal of reaction, her market crashes. Peace is inflation she can't survive. She hides behind false strength. She glorifies hardness, teaching that vulnerability equals weakness. But strength without softness is brittleness, and brittle things break easily. The witch breaks people by convincing them to never bend. Yet true resilience flows. It bends without snapping. The flexible outlasts the forceful. That's why mercy is stronger than war. It endures when aggression burns out. Comment 777. If you've started softening where you once fought, listening where you once defended, The witch fears that softness because it heals what she meant to wound. She hides in cynicism, the armor of the wounded wise. She convinces you that caring is foolish and hope is naive. But cynicism is not intelligence. It's heartbreak unhealed. You've begun to see through it. You know now that hope requires more strength than despair, that optimism is the quiet revolution of the brave. She hides in half-truths, statements that sound safe, words that almost comfort. She gives you near light to keep you from true illumination, but your spirit knows the difference. Real truth hums in the bones. It feels alive. Almost truth feels flat, hollow, sterile. When you listen with the body, not the mind, deception fails instantly.